In a world that glorifies hustle and busyness, it's easy to feel like there's just not enough hours in their day. But for many women, the real issue isn't our time, but it's how our time gets used. So, scrolling, not prioritizing, perfectionism, overcommitting, these are just a few of the ways that we spend our days. Do any of these sound familiar? Hi, I'm Jenn.
All of them.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jenn.
And I'm Erin. Welcome to Life Beyond the Scale. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, we're so glad that you're back. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And we are friends and coworkers. We've been working together in the health and wellness industry for many years, and we're here to share some of the things that we've learned and some of our experiences, and hopefully maybe some of them will ring true for you as well. Our podcast, we are here to talk about the fact that midlife is not a slowdown. It's just the beginning of a brand new chapter full of strength, style, and self discovery. So, welcome.
All right, so if you're trying to balance health goals, work, family, relationships, or even a shred of personal space, it's worth asking, where's my time really going? So, in this episode, we're going to look at some common time wasters that women tend to face and find a few strategies along the way of how we can take our time back. So, depending on what age or season of life you're in, depending on what you value, your lifestyle, your career, your family situation, and even your personal goals, it might all look a little bit different to each of us individually. But together, we tend to fall into some common categories that drain our time and don't add any value to our day. So let's dive in. Erin, in your space right now as a midlife working mom, wife, daughter, all of those things, what do you think is one of your biggest distractions?
As life has progressed, I was thinking about how much it has changed. I remember when my daughter was young and not having that much time, and now I have so much more time than I used to have, yet that doesn't make it that I use it as productively as I should
Mm.
or could sometimes. And I would say I fall into the pitfalls of overcommitting, which means overestimating my time, that I have more time, or underestimating how long something's actually going to take me. And also not prioritizing, like thinking of all the things I have to do and then getting bogged down on things that are on my list, but they're not actually as important as the things that I really want to get done. So, spending some time to really curate my thoughts so that I can be more organized and more useful with my time. How about you,
Yeah, that
Jenn?
yeah, that really resonates. It's almost the fatigue of the over planning, over analyzing, and looking at all of the things that it's so easy to get to spend so much time doing that we end up doing nothing, or we just
Yes.
constantly feel like the to-do list gets moved day by day by day.
And it can feel very frustrating. You feel like you're like a hamster on a wheel. You're running and you're doing all these things, yet in the back of your mind, you're thinking, yeah, but I'm not doing anything that I really want to do. Getting caught in the I'm only doing the things I have to do instead of the things that would actually make me happy, bring me joy, bring me satisfaction. I mean,
Yes.
who hasn't fallen into the trap of like laundry and dishes and cooking on repeat, yet not stopping to take into consideration that there's things that you want to do for yourself that actually would make you feel happier, make you feel stronger, give you more energy to do some healthy behaviors, I'm going to say.
Right. If we found the time to do the things that we want to do, it would make the
Yeah.
chores and the have tos feel less hard, right? Because
Yeah.
our cup would be filled. We're always tend to pour from that, empty cup. I think as women and men, I know you face this too, but as many of our audiences, probably women at this point, really thinking of all of the drains that we have. We're filling so many roles. We're the caregiver, we're, maybe sandwich generation with aging parents that we're taking care of, young kids at home, grandchildren, or just kids running to school. This is back to school week for us. We start on Monday and the hustle and bustle is starting. What do we need for school? School supplies, getting schedules, how are they getting to school? All of that is kind of coming and it seems to like jump to the top of the list. And then all of a sudden
Mhm.
all of the normal to-dos get pushed down, but the like I want to's are way pushed down now, right? Like there's absolutely no time for that.
Think you bring up a very good point, and it's something that I'm hearing a lot more out there, and it's the term mental load. Most women are carrying the majority of the mental load. They're the ones in charge of making sure and that everything falls into place, that we're,
Mhm.
making your kids are going back to school. You got to make sure that they got the vaccinations, they got the books, they got the permission slips, all of that on top of everything else, on top of the fact that you work, on top of the fact that you have commitments, on top of the fact that there's so much going on. It's hard to be able to find the balance.
Oh,
So,
and I'm supposed to eat
how
my protein, and I'm supposed to drink my water, and I'm supposed to exercise, and right, like all of that. And then like when am I supposed to go to the doctor? And take
Mhm.
care of myself, let alone the yard, the garden, the house, right? My husband's needs and the things that, like going on a date or spending time together doing those fun things start to just feel really draining, right? And we wanna
Yeah.
I feel like I wanna complain that there's not enough hours in the day, but if I'm honest, I also have to admit that sometimes in this mental load of feeling so heavy, I guess, or bogged down, I catch myself looking for these little distractions, right? And so now all of a sudden
Mhm.
I'm scrolling on my phone and it might start off as a, hey, I'm looking for something, maybe to help with the podcast, maybe to help with work, maybe to help with kids, or let's even, look up an eye doctor. But all of a sudden, minutes turn into, half hours that turn into hours. And all of a sudden, I'm down the rabbit hole. And now I've just, found a cute belt that I must have. Like it has nothing to do with my to do list. And so, do I
Yep.
have enough time or am I spending time doing things that are adding more friction into my life and adding more weight and more heaviness and more just drains on just my energy and that daily battery we've talked about so much?
That you need to take into consideration. I think we all need to take into consideration that we all spend way too much time on our phones scrolling, and that they have set it up in such a way that
Yeah.
we actually get physical reactions when we hear
Yeah.
the ding of a notification and all of
Yeah.
that. There's a dopamine hit. So many times we're looking for something to distract us, to in the guise of research, in the guise of I need to get this done. But all of a sudden, we can find ourselves falling down the TikTok rabbit hole of like, oh, I didn't even know I needed that. Oh, should I order that today? Do you do anything specific to kind of pull back on your scroll time or
Yeah, I would say, and maybe let's back up a second to say, like, for you and I right now, we're catching ourselves in the scroll mode, but this
yeah,
could just be digital drains in general, right? Is it the scrolling? Is it the notifications? The fact that society and culture have us, checking emails 24/7, that we're getting texts at all hours of the day and night, and we think we should look and check. And again, like I have kids kind of spread right now. And so if I got a text in the middle of the night, yeah, I want to answer it and make sure that somebody's not hurt or needs me and that type of thing. But
yeah,
often in the middle of the night, they're just sale ads, right? They're just
yeah,
nonsense, notifications that have nothing to do with anything important. But this also could be just sitting on the couch and watching too much TV, playing games, scrolling on the computer. What I'm trying to think of some other digital distractions that we have. But again, your season of life, look at it through your eyes and your lens. Right now, I would say the couple things that I've tried to do is set a timer
hmm,
so that I'm only looking for so long, just kind of, make it so that I'm only looking for this specific thing and I've got this many minutes to kind of find it and kind of go from there. Although I'll tell you, my husband was having this problem not too long ago and he just deleted a few apps and was like, you know what, for now, if I really want to get on that site, I'm either have to gonna go to the website, right? So that takes longer, we're adding like some friction to that behavior. And so he's going to
Yeah.
have to log in or he has to re-download it. And so those two things sometimes make it like, okay, it's not even worth going on to get that information, as well as turning off some notifications.
Yes. That's the thing. We do have control. If we can get into our settings on our phone. And by the way, I think I might add this to one of the screens on this video. I think I'm going to go into my apps and see how much screen time. So I
Oh,
challenge you if you want to do that too, and we can out each other. I
I
hey,
don't want to
and
know.
okay, mine would be Zillow. We are property shopping in Michigan, and I can't even think about how high my screen time is this week of us ticking off the boxes. So yes, it was research, but it was also a rabbit hole of waste of time. Of then I looked up and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't get done what I wanted to get done today.
Nothing wrong with what you were doing, right? But if all of a sudden we get done and then all of a sudden now my, kind of going back to that think, feel, do habit loop that we talk so often about, if all of a sudden I feel bad about that, the fact that I didn't, cross some things off my to-do list because I spent so much time and energy looking for, property, then that property almost loses its joy because now I'm focused on the, oh, but you didn't do this. And so we're still stuck in this negative mental cycle. And I think the more that we are in this all or nothing mentality, we often find ourselves overly critical and really are blocked on seeing other options that are available to us.
How many times have you wanted to do something and you're looking for that perfect window and you don't have, let's say you need a 4 hour window to do a particular project, but you don't have 4 hours
Right.
coming up. And so you don't do it at all. But then if you could reframe it and decide, you know what, I could take 10 minutes each day this week, and maybe by the end of the week, I could do this. But I think we have to sometimes take the time to really look at the picture and be like, okay, how badly do I want to do this? And where are those pockets? Because we all have those little, I think they call them fringe moments or little
Cracks in our
pockets of
day.
time,
Hmm.
cracks in our day, however you want it, whatever word you want to use for it. Let me ask you, Jen. We asked a couple people, in a poll, what are the healthy habits that are falling through the cracks? And for the majority of what we asked, it was it was meal planning and
Yeah.
cooking and physical activity. So for
Hmm.
you, a mom, all these kids, how do you power through and do whichever one of those you want to address, whether it's the cooking, the planning, or the activity?
Yeah. Well, I probably for me, all of that kind of gets summed up into like that home life and health sabotaging, right? And so I really, I mean, I feel like it sounds so obvious, but it really does come down to the planning. Because if I'm spending all this time cleaning, or I'm constantly running errands and going to the grocery store 3 or 4 times during the week, or every night I'm like, oh, shoot, what's for dinner? All of that is kind of draining me and then taking away a little bit more time on and giving me an excuse of why I didn't strength train, or why I didn't get my walk in with my weighted vest, or why I didn't want to, drink my water, whatever it might be. It seems like I'm trying to look for excuses, but I'm constantly running back and forth and I feel so busy all the time. But yeah, you mentioned it, the hamster on the wheel, but I'm not getting things accomplished that like we're looking for that control factor. And so,
Hmm.
deeper when it comes to like our hormones in midlife, I think we're, you know, really setting the stage for some imbalance of hormones and shooting off our cortisol and our stress hormones and stuff. And I feel like I have to run all of these errands, that I need to go to 2 3 different grocery stores. But if I back up a minute, it really came down to lack of planning. And so I'm using
Hmm.
this constant errand running, or this meal prep chaos, I'll call it, where I'm wasting time every evening trying to figure out what's for dinner, what needs to be thawed out, what sides can I put with it. Oh, that vegetable already melted in my, vegetable drawer. And so now,
Yeah.
oh, I better run another errand or do another Target order pickup to make sure I get some more, carrots or whatever that might be. Where if I had backed it up and planned a little bit better of a couple meals, almost like lowering those expectations of, right, like it doesn't need to be 4 hours. It could be 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be 7 meals of dinner planned for the week. What if I just planned a few dinners and I had those things in the house, or batch errand ran? I don't think that's even a term, but do you know what I mean? Like if I
I
thought,
know.
okay, on this day, I'm going to run all of these errands. And now I can come home and know that I have this whole little chunk of things that are already done versus the here and there, back and forth. Because y'all know as soon as we sit down, I don't want to get back up. And it's a perfect time to
Completely.
pick up my phone and distract and delay.
Well, have you ever gone to the grocery store? You spent all this money and it was exhausting, and then you get home and you don't want to cook. You're like, Ordering a pizza sounds really good to me because I
Yeah.
don't have the mental bandwidth now to cook all this food that I spent all this money on. And it's like this little vicious cycle. And then all of a sudden you bought all this food and then you don't use it all and then you throw it all away. And just makes you feel bad. I hate
Right.
that.
I was also thinking, or I buy things that I'm not even sure that I'm gonna like, which really then,
Oh,
right? Like, but I hear good things
yes.
about it, or I think I should like it, or I think we should have it. And then there's another, like, well, I don't really want to, I don't feel like I want to eat that. This, right? Like, I'm not in the mood. If I don't know what I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna eat, which is part of my excuse for why I don't meal plan, right? Because we got too many people in the house, and what are they gonna feel like eating? And, side note for all of you teen moms out there, I'm going to use my time to prepare this dinner, to shop, to make sure the house is ready for dinner, that we have clean dishes. And then I'm going to get a text that says, oh, sorry, not home for dinner tonight. We picked up food while we were out. Or I'm ordering a pizza or whatever. Like that's enough right there. So, those of you, teen moms out there, if you know, this is another drain, another heaviness, another frustration that leads to an excuse that leads to me not. So I might as well not do it anyway because no one's going to be home to eat it, forgetting that I need to fuel my body in a healthy way. So I
Yes.
count too.
I will piggyback off of that in that I only have to cook for one other person. And I will ask him what he wants, and he says yes. And then I make it, and I get oh, that
Yeah,
I
right.
have, which then I just want to, I don't have happy thoughts toward him. I'm just saying. But what I've done now, and somebody mentioned this, and I thought, oh, this is so much simpler. Instead of doing a recipe, I cook two proteins on Sunday. I cook a bunch of chicken, I cook a bunch of steak. It's in the fridge. And now it's, what do you feel like? Do you want it to be do you want it to be a salad, a sandwich, a cast? And that way it could be anything. Instead of none of that sounds good, well, what does sound good with that? And then putting him in the driver's seat of spending all that time. And then you just go, really? I did all that? And you're just going to give the, uh, well, I mean, it's not to say that I don't ever have a moment when I make something,
Sure.
but we have the bar up there so
Yeah.
high that we put so much pressure on ourselves that it has to be a certain way. What if we just simplified things? What are some things that you've simplified?
Well, I love that idea of the two proteins. Another meal planning hack that I've simplified is, I'm sure this comes from some crazy habit of just, watching my mom grocery shop or my grandma. I'm not sure. But in the past, for years, I would get home from the grocery store and any of those proteins would go in the freezer. I don't know why. They just went in the freezer. And then that, I think, added a little bit more frustration when I don't have a plan first thing in the morning or early in the week, and now somebody says, oh, I'm in the mood for pork chops, and I'm like, oh good, I have pork chops, but they're in the freezer, and now I have to figure out how to thaw out pork chops in 2 hours so that we can bake them, grill them, do whatever with them. And so one of my time saving hacks is, if I'm only grocery shopping for, let's say, those two proteins, then they just need to go right in the fridge and stay thawed until I can do that cooking or baking or grilling or whatever, air frying, whatever it is that we're going to do. But now that's one less distraction or an excuse to say, hey, it is thawed out. I don't have to wait for it to thaw out. So that's another little meal planning trick. But I'm going to steal your two proteins for sure. And we could probably even add on to that and say, pick two produce items that you like and that you're going to want to eat this week as well.
Mhm. Get them involved. Get them, make them have a, a part of the planning process. One of the best things I've done is I am now buying the cut up fruit, like the watermelon, the cut up watermelon, the cut Trader Joe's. They've got those cut up vegetables. To justify the expense of that, I realized that I use those. I don't throw those out. For us, we need to look objectively at our circumstances and be like, what's working, what's not working? How can we simplify? How can we make this easier? We tend to overthink them. And I think that
Right.
that's a pretty good place to start.
Right. And sometimes we're just wasting time on unsustainable routines, right? Like we've
Yeah.
decided that all 7 meals need to be prepped and planned and ready for the week. We've decided that we have to go to the gym and work out for an hour 5 days a week. I need 2 days of strength training. And we're trying to fit all of this in on top of the regular life stuff of just, making sure I have gas in the car, those, running to the store, going to the post office, whatever that might be, that let's like work on simplifying those routines and finding just a few small things that we are able to continue to do that will then propel me a little bit more forward, right? Just like those two proteins that you had, those 2 meals give me a little bit more confidence. They make me feel in control. I know we're having things, right? But shrimp and steak or shrimp and chicken, or can you tell I'm in the mood for shrimp? Whatever that might be. But then what can I do with those things that simplifies it and it's a little more sustainable and realistic?
We put this pressure on ourselves, and if we can find a way to take the pressure off and be like, you know what, good enough is good enough. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So we talked about overcommitment, we talked about
Yes.
mindless scrolling, we talked about perfectionism, we talked about not prioritizing. What do you think you're going to work on?
Well, I probably need to work on the planning factor, right? That idea of thinking, what could I do? What's doable and sustainable? I was also kind of like, you went back way, if we back up way to the beginning of this, you talked about overcommitting. And that
Mm,
probably is something else that, needs some more attention on the idea that it's actually draining us mentally and socially, right? Like the
mm,
obligations that we think that we should attend, the toxic friendships that leave us feeling worse off than when we started, the
yeah.
over volunteering because we want to be nice and we want to do things for other people because, right, like we want to and we do like to do that. But sometimes all of that even is just another drain, and maybe some delegating would be helpful, or practicing saying no, or not
Mm.
right now, maybe come back to me next time. So that I feel like the overcommitting, when you mentioned that at the beginning of this, that sprung a chord with me, as well as this idea of the constant errands and the meal planning. But for me, I think I can put all of those together to say I need to work on, I'm going to do the two proteins and maybe two veggies that I can work on, as well as then figure out what other errands could I tie to that so that I'm not constantly running back and forth, or delegate and have one of my, many driving children go pick some things up for me if I do forget.
That's a good idea. Why not? They're part of the family. If they can drive, they can go pick it up.
What
I
strategy are
think
you going to work on?
I think I'm going to work on, because as I outed myself about the scrolling, I need to take control back of like not being on my phone as much. I need to set up some guidelines of like, yes, you can scroll, but I think I'm going to set up specific times in the morning, afternoon, and evening, so that I can use it as a entertainment. And I can use it as something to look forward to instead of something I'm just doing to fill the time.
You're even making me think about how much time I can waste planning my to-do list. So, how do you
Mm.
manage your to-do list?
Well, funny you should ask me that. So that's one thing I feel like I've gotten much better at. And the thing that has helped me the most is I have what's called a dump list, a little spiral notebook. On one side is a dump, and the other side is the day. And I first start out by writing. It's almost like stream of consciousness. Like, don't forget to pay that bill, make the vet appointment, fix the car, pick up the dry cleaning, whatever. Groceries, it'll all go on that one side. So it's like everything that I need to remember, I need to think about, I put it all down on paper. And then I look at it and I think, okay, what do I really have to get done? And I pick three main things each day that I have to get done. I'll use the YouTube as an example. My excuse was, well, I don't have time. Well, when you add something to your life, you're going to have to take time from other places. So you have to kind of look objectively and see, okay, where is my time going? What are the things that I'm doing so that I can actually make this a priority? With the different seasons of life, I remember how different it was when my daughter was a baby, when she was in school, when she was in high school, when she was in college, and now she's not here. She's an adult and I have more time, but I don't have more time. It's figuring out how to use my time. And
I love that idea of like, or the recognition that we're not going to get more hours in the day, that we are going to have to almost steal from something else. Right. And so
yeah,
those behaviors or those time suckers that are stealing, from us right now, that aren't adding value to my day, I'm going to have to figure out, like, yeah, let's steal from that because it's not serving me anyway. Where this behavior, then, the meal planning, the less errands, the delegating, that serves me better and can impact me in a healthier way. Lots of good tip. Here's our final thoughts. You don't need more hours in the day. You just need fewer drains on your time and on your energy. So start looking around, look at those time leaks, and one by one start sealing up the cracks. Your time and your life are too valuable to spend on things and times and moments that don't serve you.
we want to know where are you struggling with your time? What are the things that take up your time, that keep you from doing the things that you actually want to do? So if you could leave it in the comments, we would love to do that. And on the flip side, if you have found any solutions on what you're using, what habits, what tricks you're using to get more time out of your day, even though we know it's not possible to make more hours, we just want to know, what are you doing to utilize your time? Thank you so much for being here.
Have a great week, and we'll be back here next time.
Sounds good. Take care, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.